Need two boats to the dock.
Okay, I want to call the April 19th, 2023 meeting of the Lake Commission to order. Thank you all for coming. Just want to let you know that this meeting is being recorded, both audio and video. Tonight's meeting's live, so if you're watching us now, I don't have to tell you that we're live. And but it's also going to be recorded, so you'll be able to watch it after if you miss it or have a hard time sleeping. First thing, we're going to review and act on the acceptance of the minutes for the March 2023 meeting. Do we have minutes for that?
Yep.
Yep. I just showed my hand.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the March 22nd meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so voted. And public participation, anyone sign up for that? No? Okay. And, all right, commissioners' reports. I'm going to defer mine for now because I have a lot of stuff, but we'll just go through it during the agenda. So, Mr. Pica, what do you have?
Not a lot, but a few observations. We had a 92-degree day, and it was just like pop. All of a sudden, there was boats, jet skis flying around. A week ago last Friday in particular. It was very busy. I have seen the eagles nesting on the nest that they've had over the years. I have seen them there. A lot of waterfowl of different types coming through the lake. Turbidity of the lake seems, it's fairly clear for this time of year. And for fishermen, the fish are biting. I myself, have done some fishing. I see people out there fishing, catching fish. So, lake's getting used. The crew boats are out. It was a busy lake in the north. It was busy in the north end of the lake this past weekend with rowing. They did allow people to put their boats in, but they had to go at wake speed along the eastern shore to be able to get south of the Route 9 bridge. I know somebody helped put in a boat. I think the environmental police were doing safety checks on boats. So, I'm glad to see that, and I'm also pleased to think that there'll be more police enforcement on the lake this season, in that there's people out there in plain English playing music so loud it disturbs the peace. It's just so loud. An example of that, this was told to me. Family were watching their sons play baseball at the Tivnan Field. Now, if anybody knows where the Tivnan Field is, across Lake Ave from Quinsigamond State Park, and they couldn't hear the umpires calling strikes or balls or you're out, and they made complaints last year to the police because the music on boats on the lake was so loud they couldn't even hear umpires calling strikes or outs. Almost a quarter mile away from the lake, at the ball field. So that's how loud some people have been playing their audio on their boats, it's just, and it's become a cat and mouse game. People with these stereos apparently also have monitors, police monitors. If they know someone's going to come and tell them to tune it down, they tune it down till such time as the police are out of sight, crank it back up again. But it disturbs a lot of people with how loud they play their music. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, our friends from Shrewsbury Police.
I guess just a few things. We successfully purchased a jet ski. That should be shipped to us within a week. We're just waiting for the trailer to arrive at the wholesalers from Texas. That'll better allow us to address the jet ski issues on the lake and access Flint Pond if necessary. Boat ramp enforcement will begin as soon as the weather causes increased ramp traffic. We're going to try and discourage unregistered or unlicensed equipment and individuals from frequenting the lake from the outset. Last week we had a very successful boat crewman's course that was put on by the environmental police. Shrewsbury had, that was actually set up by Sergeant Vitols. He did a great job. Shrewsbury had about 11 people participate, as well as officers from Worcester PD and the Mass State Police. The course was 5 days, and it included intensive classroom study, as well as practical skills, applications aboard vessels on the lake. As a result of the training, we'll have several experienced primary operators, as well as numerous boat assist operators with adequate comprehensive training. And our boat will not be available until mid-May because it is awaiting a new gas tank that has to be fabricated. So the environmental police will have their boats out, though.
All right, cool.
That's it.
Anything else?
That's all, sir.
It's good news. How many officers did you say from Shrewsbury? 7?
We had 11,
11.
go through the course, yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And we have several that already had taken it, so.
It's fantastic. Thanks, Mike. Getting that done. Sergeant Garriman.
We have 14. We took that class last week too. It was very beneficial. We had 14 guys who go through it. I have 14 guys that are going to be able to be on the boat this summer. One is permanently going to be assigned to the boat. That's going to be his main job through the summer, starting in May. We're going to want our boat is operational. We had it on the water for the first time for the regatta the other day. And we used it all week in the training class. So our boat is operational, ready to go on the water. We don't have a place to dock it, so we got a trailer at this time, back and forth. But we're gonna monitor the weather, so any like 85+ day that comes up between now and like just week before Memorial Day weekend, we'll probably launch the boat just to quell any issues that we could, help out with and stuff like that.
Nice.
That's all I got.
That's I think I saw it out there. Is that the Zodiac?
Yeah, it looks like that, yeah.
Yeah. Nice boat.
It's a nice boat, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
All right, well, thank you.
We still got
Congratulations.
we're still adding things to it, I mean, it was our first time purchasing the boat in a number of years, so we missed a few things. So we got to add a few things now.
That's okay. What's going on with the rescue boat? Is that, or the safety boat, or whatever?
The fire department's using that.
Okay.
They have that's in the water. They dropped that. I think Friday they dropped it in the water.
So that's what's in the boathouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our boat won't fit in the
I was
boathouse.
just saying, the other one won't fit. Right?
No, because of the canopy.
No. Good. It's going to be, we really appreciate what you guys have set this all up and got it going, because it's definitely needed out there, as we just heard from Mr. Pica. So it's going to be an interesting summer. I think that, and I got a comment from the environmental police that also felt this way, that the stuff you do at the ramp has been really effective, because they don't even get in, so you don't have to worry about it,
Yeah.
to that point. So
That's why we're going to try and start that as soon as possible, as soon as, it's practically necessary.
All right. Great. Thank you. All right. Mr. Polito.
No report.
All right, thank you. Ms. Emery?
No report.
No? Okay, thank you. Mr. Nelson?
A couple of things. Most people have noticed that the rowing course is in for the 2 months of May and April. Most of the races on Saturdays and Sundays in April are cup races between individual schools, both high schools, prep schools, and the colleges. With the big regattas, there's 5 of them in May. And those big regattas will be when the boat ramps are closed. The boat clubs on the lake have gotten rid of the winter rowing rules. They're now in summer rowing rules, which basically, depending on the boat club, means the sum of the water temperature and the air temperature is either over 90 degrees or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And the water always has to be above 50 degrees. I also attended the Regatta Point Sailing Club's annual meeting and to see what they were planning this year. And it's basically more of the same of what they've done before. They expect a rather busy year with all of the student sailors and student rowers, but I was really impressed by the number of scholarships that they give to kids from Worcester who can't afford the minimal costs of those courses. It was very impressive. I think they should get a hand for that. That's my report.
Perfect. Don't go away, because I skipped over the
I know.
review of approval of bills and expenses, so.
Yeah.
What do
We
have?
had one bill for 600 dock stickers. It was $234 even, and it was from Mass Corps, and that was the only bill for the last month.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to,
Motion to approve.
Second the motion?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Before we move on from that, the buoys, because we have to get a whole bunch of
Oh,
buoys. We have to add another one on Half Moon Cove.
yeah.
So,
The ring on the buoy that I've annually placed out in front of Half Moon Cove, it rusted through. I have repaired that buoy a couple times, but I think it's irreparable at this point. Also, the sticker on it was replaced at one point in time. It's just that I think it's seen its time. It may be 10 or 12 years old as it is, but it sits on the shore right at the point to the Half Moon Cove at this time, facing out. You know, I also observed some jet skis screaming through that gap on Friday. Yeah, you know, it's not out. I think a buoy placed out in the water is more effective, even though it's only a matter of 30 feet maybe away, as it sits right on the water's edge, where, you know, it's on my property, but right at the water's edge, because it can't be attached to anything. It just rusted through the carriage ring bolt underneath. So I think to replace it with another floating buoy will have a better deterring effect in terms of people racing through that small space versus just sitting on the shore. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thank you. So you guys have an idea of what we need for buoys? Or we can go over
Yeah,
it?
I believe Sean asked for 6, was it, last week?
Okay, yeah, we need
So probably.
2 for Kings, the Narrows of Kings Point. This one, well, this is an additional one, because we didn't know
Right.
about that last
So is
week.
that 9 total then?
Yeah, probably. Maybe an extra one, or I don't know.
Okay.
We have to replace at least one of them over in Flint Pond, too, at the
Okay.
Route 20 bridge. So, but I think that was in the number before, the other number. All right. And you guys had some, you said were messed up.
Yeah, we wanted to have enough to also have some on, as replacements if needed.
Okay, perfect, thanks. If you need any help installing those, let me know. So, we got through all the commissioners' reports, yes?
Number 7?
And number 7, discuss and possibly act on adaptive water skiing event on August 9th. This is an event that we've held the last 2 summers at the Donahue Rowing Center, and it's basically, the adaptive water ski is for special needs community. Could be kids, it could be adults. They basically have a bunch of volunteers. It's a great program. And they just take kids skiing like all day. It's kind of cool. So I know I'll be down there. I think Laurel from Parks and Rec is also going to be there, but we're looking to get that date nailed down. So I don't think they have any paperwork in yet, but
Okay.
that's.
Mr. Chair, is there a need to vote on this?
I just want to confirm the date.
Okay.
Yes, so I'd like to vote on it.
Want to make a motion to approve the date and pending paperwork?
I'd like to second that motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Opposed? So voted. All right, review and possibly act on request from Regatta Point Sailing for fall rowing events on October 8th and 9th in 2023 for a whole bunch of people.
Whole bunch of people.
Evening. My name is Lucas Markren. I'm the operations manager for Regatta Point Community Sailing.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So what do you got, Luke?
We've had this event, I think, for 13 years so far, so this will be the 14th year. It's a 2-day event with a fall race from the island where the Eagles are all the way to the Donahue Rowing Center. So it's an approximate 3-mile race. The boat ramps would be closed from, say, 6 in the morning till about 2 in the afternoon each day.
Who are of the 3,000 participants? Who's participating?
We have 40 different teams and clubs from all over New England and New York attending the event.
Now, like high school, college, or?
High school and masters, high school youth and masters. So Regatta Point itself has a club team that's many high schools put together, but also like a St. John's or Shrewsbury, where it's an individual high school compete, as well as master programs.
Is this what sometimes has been referred to as a snake race in the past?
No, this is actually a head race. The snake race is a particular race on this lake where they would snake between the islands, and we just have a standard head race, almost like the head of the Charles, head of the Connecticut, or the other ones. Yes?
Follow-up question on that. These are both head races, but does this one have a name so we won't confuse it with a snake race?
Oh, it's long. It's the 14th annual Juniors High School Masters New England Championship Fall Regatta. So it's a mouthful. I haven't found an acronym yet that's short enough.
Okay.
And then we would be following the same course, traditional rowing pattern where you're racing on the Shrewsbury side and returning or going to the race on the Worcester side.
Okay. And there'll be a lane open.
There'll be a lane open for non-boat ramp traffic.
Right.
People who are on the lake.
Yeah, abutters, okay. All right. Any questions, comments?
Make a motion, we approve.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
Opposed? Thanks, Luke. Sounds like fun. Okay, number 9, presentation by Shrewsbury CPC. Thanks for coming in on such
Great.
short turnaround.
Thank you, appreciate it. My name is Jason Molina. I'm the chairperson of the Shrewsbury Community Preservation Committee. And not necessarily a presentation tonight. So from the request to meet today, the purpose of coming here is to, as part of our annual needs assessment, is to update the community preservation plan for Shrewsbury regarding needs of the community, for community preservation, and then any opportunities that this commission sees fit for from the realm of CPA. I know that, as I see on your agenda, there's also a Grafton CPA project that you have going on as well. So I know this commission is very well versed with CPA, so I won't be talking about CPA unless there's a question about CPA in particular. So I do want to just call out that our committee last year had we met with you, right, and solicited these needs and requests for any opportunities. And I do want to say that as a whole, not only just the Lake Quinsigamond Commission, but other input from other committees and the public as well, we did establish in the open space side 4 particular goals for Shrewsbury CPC in terms of funding opportunities. We set these goals at being protecting additional open space by identifying and prioritizing parcels of interest so the town can develop a long-term plan and act quickly as needed. Number 2, providing safe and easy public access to open spaces. Number 3, increase connectivity between open space properties, neighborhoods, and parcels. And lastly, number 4, preserve and improve water quality in streams, ponds, and Lake Quinsigamond by purchasing land for watershed protection. So this was a synthesis of all the input that we received last year. And so, at this point, this is an opportunity to, if you see particular issues that this commission sees for the lake or any other water body that you wanted to talk about, even if it's not part of your purview, I'm here to listen to the needs and any opportunities. So needs can be general, and opportunities could be very specific things like, hey, this parcel, wouldn't it be great if Shrewsbury were to buy this? Or wouldn't it be great if we can do these particular things? So I'll give you some examples from opportunities, like Other communities have used CPA monies to purchase boat washing stations in order to protect their water body from invasive species, or they've used it for purchasing land, to either protect the water quality or to have it as access to that water body, or they've purchased or created, I should say, boat launches or kayak launches. So either motor sports or for passive recreation in that sense. So there's certainly a whole host of opportunities with CPA monies. So I'm basically shopping around saying, hey, do you see any needs coming out of your commission?
Yeah, and I apologize, because we had a project that we wanted to do with boat cleaning stations on both ramps. Both of the public ramps on Lake Quinsigamond are in Shrewsbury. So the ramp at Oak Island and the ramp at Corzini at the DRC. And the state because the state owns the ramp, the town manages it, the state owns it, but the state had some reservation about were they effective? And that there wasn't a whole bunch of data out there in their mind that said, well, these work really well. So they kind of pushed back, and we put that on hold for now, because Worcester installed one at Indian Lake, and we're kind of waiting to use that for a reference, hopefully a good reference for this, to go back to the state and say, hey, this worked out really well here. There's a bunch of other places too. They just weren't happy, I guess, with the references we gave them. And that would be very effective. I think to have that at the ramp, have them both at the ramp. The other project that comes to mind right away is Oak Island itself. Oak Island, I remember, because I was on some of those phone calls, we were talking about open space opportunities, and I think one person suggested we buy Buca, the Peppo, and convert that into some kind of space that we could bring our kayaks down to. And I reminded everyone that Shrewsbury already owns like 1,500 feet on Lake Quinsigamond at Oak Island that's there. And it's the last couple of years has been kind of taken over by a group of jet skiers who are out there partying and lighting fires, and they had a latrine set up at one point. I think that still kind of goes on. So this is a constant weekend thing, but there's no easy way to patrol Oak Island down there, and I know the neighbors call all the time. I know that the Shrewsbury PD gets calls all the time because of the loud music. That's one of the bases they have. That's a place where they don't play the cat and mouse game. They stay there all the time. And they do have open fires going on. They have all kinds of stuff you're not supposed to do down there. So I'd like to, suggest we have to come up with formulate some kind of plan to clean that up a little bit. And just one sec, and move through that. Obviously water quality is a big issue for us. Most of the stuff we do with water quality has been reactionary. I mean, we are doing testing and we are doing other stuff, but CPC money, the CPC is pretty well defined. You can't use things for maintenance.
Right.
So, any of the weed treatments we're doing or anything like that is, probably considered more of a maintenance thing versus buying capital equipment or land or something like that. So,
Right. Other communities have used CPA monies to purchase either dredgers or invasive de-weeding machines.
Yeah.
Of course, then it's not going to really know this is a invasive species versus a non-invasive. So I couldn't speak to that.
First of all,
effectiveness.
you have to be permitted to go in there and start, grinding stuff up. So, there's that. And also, you just gave me another idea that maybe that's another use we could have for it. Because we do have a testing, the Lake Quinsigamond Commission, in conjunction with the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association and Worcester's Lakes and Ponds Program, does testing every year on the lake. And testing would probably be considered more maintenance than anything else. However, you do need a boat to go out there and test. So, and we need equipment and some other stuff. So that may be something we can look at too. I'm sure we can come up with a bunch of stuff, and like I said, I apologize because I wanted to get in on that early, and we thought we had a perfect introduction to it, because it wasn't a whole bunch of money. I think the boat washing or the boat cleaning stations were probably gonna come in around $80,000 or something like that for the two of them. So it wasn't a big, some of the numbers I've seen, when we went for the Grafton one, we were $17,000 for that. There was projects on there that, what, $250,000 for parks and,
Yeah,
there was some big-
creating a couple of new parks.
yeah, there's some big money going through
have-
there, so.
They were under 100,000, I think, but close to it. The community preservation attempts were vastly more than that, and that basically has been holding them up or killing them.
Yeah, so,
It depends on the available funds.
right.
So I can just clarify that, is this left to Grafton, is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
we saw some of the projects going through Grafton, so there's, some
Okay.
big money projects in there, and, I think fixing up Oak Island or getting it to, what I'd like to see is something that's more accessible for, law enforcement to get down there, and right now, if there was an issue where these people are hanging out, a law enforcement officer would have to get out of his cruiser and walk down there, which has gotta be close to 700, maybe 1,000 feet, to get down to where they are. So fire trucks can't get in there. So they have some kind of gate system or something that we could do, or fix it up so it's just more than, it's really, they cleaned out the stuff that they needed to clean out, and it's just that now. There's been no improvements on it, it's just kind of, and which is okay. It's more of its natural state, although, Oak Island historically has never really been natural. There was a dump down there, a campground, all kinds of stuff, so, but it's nice. It's a beautiful piece of property. I encourage you to take a walk around it.
Yeah.
It's a nice little path around the thing. You can
Mr.
walk
Chair,
around.
if I can. Frankly, I sincerely feel that Oak Island, the town of Shrewsbury, should almost be ashamed that they've let that property, and it is a beautiful piece of property, just sit fallow, because it has become, as Chairman Collins said, it's become a dump over the years. I've helped with annual cleanups there. And annually when you're taking out tires, annually when you're doing this, it's like, frankly, if it was developed as a passive park where trees were selectively cut, there could be playing fields there, also give a clear sight into the property in terms of what's going on there. I mean, I don't even want to bring up here in public some of the things that have gone on that property over the course of the years, and quite a lot of hair-raising activity, okay? But it's like a large tract of land in Shrewsbury that's left undeveloped, where, because of that, all of these other activities have occurred there, which aren't nice. It's just literally a shame that property just sits and it's not better developed so that, for instance, there could be better police access, could be more ball fields for the town of Shrewsbury. If you take a look at the property, it's sizable. There's parking there, there's a large parking lot. And again, it's open space, but it's been used inappropriately because of such. Now, otherwise, I have to underscore, the idea of a boat washing station there and also at the Corzini ramp would be a great idea. Frankly, if the Community Preservation Committee could pay for some of our buoys that we have to replace, which is a safety issue, that would be wonderful. And frankly, having a boat that was dedicated to lake cleaning and maintenance and the like wouldn't be such a bad thing either. The police can't be tied up with necessarily towing back broken down boats from one end of the lake to the other. And when they do that, it takes time away from them from doing enforcement, which has been an issue. There used to be a group that's long since gone, but were great in helping out with functions like that in the past. Bill Latimer, that was his name?
Right.
Yeah, who had a...
Coast Guard Auxiliary.
Yeah, they did a great job at helping out, doing rescues and stuff like that, which, again, if it's left to the police to do and they have to tow a boat at 2 miles an hour from one end of the lake to the other, well, there goes 3/4 of an hour of their time, just towing a boat back where they can't be otherwise doing enforcement. And there's been a real need for enforcement in terms of people who just don't quite behave themselves or show good etiquette on the lake. So I had to chime in on that, but I'll tell you, Oak Island is just like an elephant in a room of a property on the lake that's not dealt with, that's quite a parcel, that could be better managed, so that, a lot of these, I'll call it activities that shouldn't be happening, would not be happening if it was better managed. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a follow-on comment to that?
Sure, yeah.
With regards to Oak Island, if that was cleared up as suggested, brush cut out, trees, grass, for other things, one very positive thing that could be done that was not mentioned was, and it was proved very effective along the Charles River in Cambridge, is that once it is cleared up, if we allowed some sort of kayak and canoe rental place to be there during the summer, that would put people in place with cell phones that could immediately call the police anytime they needed to be some police response, and we would not have to worry about the police constantly patrolling and walking down. So having some sort of bodies there at a rental place for kayaks or canoes or something could provide eyes and ears for helping to prove that situation.
I like that. Just not jet skis.
Yeah, but what I really wanted to do was get back to the Community Preservation Act. I guess I want to say two things on it. The one we did for the lake here from Grafton, we managed to tie in three things. The open space, the recreation, as well as the water properties. And it made it very successful. And all I'm saying about that is, if you want to see a copy of the application that went in, just to look at this maybe as a blueprint to give you some ideas, Grafton can gladly provide that to you. The second thing I want to mention is, because again, Mike brought it up with regards to buoys or something. The one problem we ran into over a year, and it actually delayed us, was both with the state and with some people in Grafton on the Community Preservation Commission and the Conservation Commission were very aware of the state laws, is the CPC grants can only be used for one-time projects. They cannot be used for anything that by the strongest stretch of your imagination is considered maintenance, such as removing weeds yearly, or keeping an area tidy year after year, or replacing buoys. So we learned the hard way, you have to be very careful to follow the state rules and regulations on these grants. And so I just wanted to mention those two things to let you know what we learned in the process.
Right, thank you for sharing that, for sure. Let me ask you, for this project that you have, you're talking about from Grafton, is that a recent one, or is this the one from 2021?
Last year.
Last year.
It was supposed to be the year before, but mapping of the particular types of weeds and the et cetera, and treatment of them and everything, to get an idea, not to use for planning maintenance is what basically what the project was. That was delayed 1 year because you have to wait till the particular 2-week growing season for each week to have your biologists go out there and map, et cetera, et cetera. And we were just late the first year of funding, so we delayed it to the growing season the following year, and it was finished up at the end of the growing season this past year.
So it sounds like it's the one that says scientific field investigation of aquatic aliens, invasive weed infestation and contaminations of Flint and Hovey ponds and the portion of Quinsigamond River connecting them.
Correct.
$17,000?
Yes.
Okay, that's it.
We did almost as good a job as the Sailing Association in having a nice long name that took several lines to fill it in.
All right, thank you. All right, appreciate that. And certainly, thank you for sharing your perspective on what CPA can fund. So it's great that you have institutionalized information about like what CPA can do. And while I was soliciting the needs and opportunities, and you've clearly said a lot about Oak Island. Certainly, I need to get there myself because I have not seen that. So personally, I like to do that. But I think there's also an opportunity to think, consider, like after our conversation ends tonight, that you kind of put together an opportunity, funding requests into the CPC, because we're going to be opening up our window of opportunity again for this next fiscal year coming up.
Okay.
So certainly let's not miss the window if you have something cooking. You know,
Please, if I can ask you, please, go take a walk around Oak Island. When you see the property, there's a lot of potential there. Unfortunately, left in the state that it is, it gets used and abused. Illegal, lewd and lascivious behavior, illegal jet ski rentals, trashing, just, over the years, I've just seen such poor, bad use of the property that the town should do something with it to improve it, because as it is, it's a deficit to the town. It's a,
Yeah,
so, I don't know, are you taking any public comment? Barbara Walters.
Yep, of course. Barb?
Barbara Hickam, I was just gonna tell Jason that I can meet you out there and walk around if you want.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
You might not see all the trails.
Perfect, thank you. So who owns Oak Island? Like, which, is it
The
town
town.
owned?
Town of
or is it
Shrewsbury.
owned-
The town owns it, and I believe it's conservation. We originally thought it was Parks that owned the land, and then we found out, Angela and I, because we did a study that might not be the case. So there's some question about who actually in the town. The town owns it. It's where it's owned in the town that we don't. I don't have a clear answer for you.
And do you know if, and certainly I can find this out myself, but if you
Yep.
already have the answer, I'm just curious. Do you know if that, if there's any restrictions on the use of that island?
There was, and I don't mean to sound cynical, but this is going to sound cynical. That, originally that I had approached Angela, I don't know, probably almost a decade ago, and I said that, I'd like to talk about, upgrading Oak Island. The first answer I got was, well, no, you can't really do that because it's only zoned for passive recreation, so you can only have walking trails and this and that. And fast forward to a town meeting, and we were voting on putting solar panels on top of the landfill, which is zoned, guess what? Passive recreation. So
Yeah.
I circled back around and said, well, I don't understand. So we could put solar panels there, which probably would work really well because it faces south, but we can't put a ball field up or anything else besides that. And she's basically turned around and said, well, it's that and the fact that I'm not doing anything until I get SAC straightened out. So it was a resource issue, really, was what's going on. So we got on the list. That said, before Angela left, we were on the list of projects to look at. And there's some stuff. So, if you do want to go down there, Jason, I'll be happy to go with Barbara and show you where our land starts and where, what we have and what the state still owns. The state owns half of the area. They own where the boat ramp is and over to the east of it, the west of it. And Shrewsbury owns, there's a little piece of land, stone wall, and Shrewsbury owns east of the stone wall. So it's quite a bit of land there.
Great, I'll take them both on it, yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, this is really a question for you. Isn't the actual boat ramp under Mass Department of Fish and Games, Great Pond rules and regulations?
That's correct. That's correct. And that presents a challenge in that you can't use that parking lot technically to park anything that doesn't have a boat trailer attached to it, or that you're not using the ramp as for its intention. So we'd have to probably put another parking lot on at some point. But these are all things you can work
There's
out.
enough room for it.
There's all details you can work out. But that's a spot it's like a hidden gem. It really is. I mean, when you think about it, that's what when they're talking about buying Bucher, I'm like, okay. First of all, that's not the most pristine site to put anything in. They're certainly not swimming and launching your kayak, but when you have one, and it's the other thing about that side of the lake, it's one of the few or the most. It's probably the most natural that we have left there. When you look at it, there's when they put in the project at Market Basket, we got a few more buildings down there now, but still, even with that, it's still probably the most natural part of the lake. So
Perfect, thank you all. Anything else, want want to raise at this point?
I can't think of anything, but, I'm gonna, put on my thinking cap and try to figure that out. We do have you mentioned dredging projects. We do have a dredging project that's probably, that we'd like to get done, but it's probably in the millions to pull it off.
Well, again, restricted to the cap, what is the capital?
Exactly. So that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Protect the lake, dredging in a couple areas like Half Moon Cove. The other part of the lake would certainly help the flow of the lake. To connect the lake where the power lines go over from Flint to Flag Pond, is it? There used to be a channel there that doesn't quite flow. But there's a few flowage points in the lake near where the former diner was. I think there's a conduit that goes under Route 20 that connects over there. There are areas of the lake that could use some maintenance for better flowage.
He meant one-time projects for better flowage.
No one-time
Not,
projects.
not maintenance.
A follow-up comment?
What?
Actually, part of the Grafton-funded project on Flint Pond was to look at the water flow in and out. And two of its strong conclusions were the east flowage under Route 20 is essentially needs to be dredged. It is so shallow that almost all boats, except the extremely shallowest ones, rub bottom there, and pretty soon it's going to be impossible to get through. The western end under Route 20 is totally clogged up. It's essentially impassable. Not only under Route 20, but further into Flint Pond. The weeds have gotten so thick that most boats just can't get through there. So there's definitely, as Peter mentioned, they're very expensive, and maybe the State Department of Transportation should be worrying about them. But both of those connections between Flint Pond and Lake Quinsigamond proper were shown by the investigations of the Grafton-funded CPC project. One's essentially closed, and the other one's getting closer and closer to being closed. And this could produce problems with Lake Quinsigamond if we have, one of these 100-year storms or something.
Okay.
If you toured Oak Island, you'd be able to take a short walk over and see one of the areas that we're alluding to.
Perfect. All right, will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. Okay. All right. Update on the lake management plan. And I don't know why we have, I think some of this is left over from last. Lake Quinsigamond drawdowns, the lake is back up to a normal pool, if not a little higher right now. So we got that done. The dam, I know, is all the way up to the top, so that's good. We did get our weed map, so we have an idea of where we're gonna go. I met with Jacqueline Burmeister. Jacqueline's not here tonight. Alyssa's gonna give us a little update on what's going on there, so I'll save that for her. But essentially, the plan this year is for us to directly collaborate with the city, and they're gonna take over. They're gonna not take over, but take on some of the actual bids and treatment, so they help us out on that. That's where we really stumbled last year, is getting all the bids out there and making it work right. And we didn't have a really accurate map last year, and we do this year, so it's gonna make our determinations of where we're treating and what we're treating with and all that a lot easier to do. So Natural Heritage is still unresponsive. I don't get it. I called again today. I've emailed. We're gonna track them down. So like I said, on the treatments themselves, all that is in the works as far as getting the specs for what we need to treat, where we need to treat. Natural Heritage would be handy if they'd respond to us, because we really would like to treat in the Zone B area, which is specifically where Old Faith Cove is. And, we want to use the herbicide that we used in Half Moon that was very successful in dealing with the Eurasian milfoil and not hurting the narrow-leaf pondweed is what their Natural Heritage is concerned with, is that habitat. And there's a large habitat of that in Old Faith as well. And the other focus we're going to have this year too is, and I'm going to send this out to the public, is that we're getting more and more spottings of water chestnut. Water chestnut is an extremely invasive, aggressive plant, and you need to deal with it as quickly as possible. So we're going to ask for volunteers. We did this last year, and we had a pretty good turnout. The volunteers came out. They helped us pull it. We got it down pretty well as far as, we have our little laundry baskets is what we put it in so the weeds actually drain and get some of the water and the weight out. The town provides us with bags, and they come and pick up all that stuff. And I think last year, I think Mike said last meeting it was like 70 bags of that stuff we had, big contractor bags of it. So it's aggressive. Luke you were there. So I fully suspect that crop will come back where we were last year in Round Pond, just south of Sunset Beach, and I'm getting messages from sightings of the pods for water chestnut all over the lake. So it's all over. So right now it's manageable by hand pulling. My concern is that especially in Round Pond, when the water lilies are up, when the other vegetation is up, it's almost impossible to get crafts in there in order to pull the things out. And it's not a place you're going to walk around. One is deep and mucky, and so you really need a boat or some kind of thing to go over there. I got stuck a bunch of times on my paddle board. So tell you what it is. Tell you how dense it is over there. Not so much on the water chestnut, but on the rest of the plants that are around it. So it's making it harder to get at the water chestnut, which is bad. There's also a chemical that we want to talk to Natural Heritage about called ClearCast, which is an herbicide. We feel that it would probably be safe to do that even in a endangered zone, because this herbicide is systemic, which is basically it has to have contact with the plant. So in other words, what you do is even water will dilute it. So so what you do is you basically you apply it right to the top, right to the leaf of the water chestnut, and it really doesn't harm anything else around it, because by the time it gets to anything else, it's ineffective. So we're looking at that too, because we feel that in the future that we may have bigger crops of this out there. So we have to look at it. But that's probably right now, from a invasive species issue, I think probably the most scary thing we have going on right now. The Eurasian milfoil, fanwort, the other things that we treat out there, we have processes and we know what we have experience doing it and we've been successful doing it. So we're not that concerned about that. But the other sides of it are water chestnut is something that we need to get at fast. So that's that part of it, and we're still working on drawdown permits for Newton Pond, and I owe the town of Boylston a report on basically where we are with Newton Pond, and the Grafton CPC project we already discussed, so we're fine.
Repeat again, it's finished.
Yep, so we're done with that. I think the next stage with that maybe is now what do we do on Flint Pond back there? And what's the best thing? Are we just going to treat it? Are we going to try to mitigate anything over there? We really didn't find, the quick nutshell in the report is we really didn't find a smoking gun. We didn't find that a stream was dammed up or anything like that. We didn't find any blatant thing that may have been done by Wyman Gordon legally in the war effort to change flow of the pond or changing of the characteristics of it. So we kind of back to the drawing board to see what we can do to make that up. Right now, I was over there on the paddleboard, I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago. There was no vegetation. It was really nice. You could go all over the whole pond and go all these places where you can't really go when the weeds come out. So, or especially the water lilies. So it's a beautiful, beautiful area. It really is, and there is a lot of nature there. So that's what's really nice about it. It's still, it's still got some of that left on it, which is rare on lake. And but they were calling me. All right, and
Number 11?
number 11, funding in the proposed budget. We went over the budget last. We went over the expenditures last. I still don't have enough information. I'm looking to get information from the city on what we're actually going to get contributed from those guys in terms of either work in kind and them taking on a couple of the actual treatment projects. So that'll be good. Have not heard from Senator Moore's office regarding our funding request from the state. And Grafton are we on track for an appropriation from those guys from the Conservation Commission?
So far, the only thing that's on track, my understanding, is the one from the Conservation Commission.
Okay.
From the Select Board, I do not
Okay.
know.
I think that's how they're gonna do it. And then Shrewsbury, we're on the warrant, like we were last year, so, I think it's 30,000 total, but not all of that is going to Quinsigamond. Some of it's gotta go to Jordan Pond, Dean Park, some of the other water bodies, Old Mill. So, but Newton Pond and Quinsigamond will get their share for sure. So that's good. And, we're also looking at possibly collaborating with the Watershed Association about some grant money that seems to be out there. There seems to be a lot of money out there for people looking to spend it, but it's how we get it is a whole different thing. Grant writing is its own little business. All right, brings us number 12, update from Alyssa.
Hello. Jacqueline was unable to make it today, so she asked me to just give a couple updates, but she does plan to be at the next one. Let me find her notes that she sent me. So, sampling, Lakes and Ponds program will begin their usual sampling in Lake Quinsig May 2nd, which is, 2 Tuesdays from now?
Mm-hmm.
So in future meetings, she will have water quality data for us with that. The cyanobacteria monitoring, the first sampling day is going to be Saturday, April 29th. And it says they're still looking for Lake Quinsig watershed volunteers. So you can either reach out to Jacqueline or to Barbara if you're interested in Newton Pond, Lake Quinsig, any of those. I would touch base with Jacqueline and them. And the training that she offered a couple weeks ago, it is recorded, so if you guys want the training on that, that is available to view as well. We've been working with the Commission and the Watershed Association to create a plan to divide and conquer management of the invasive aquatic plants, and the Lakes and Ponds program is preparing bid specs for a lot of the services. So she is in process with a lot of that, and she'll give us an update when we get there. She has a monthly newsletter. Sign up at worcestermass.gov/blue space. It's called the Blue Space Splash. So if you guys are interested in all of her updates, it's a cool little newsletter she sends out monthly. And she also has the Blue Space Minute, which has a pretty good one she made a year and a half ago about water chestnut. So if anyone's curious what it looks like, how to manage it, pull it, whatever, please go ahead and look at that. It's on YouTube. She has a couple events coming up. The Bell Pond Catch and Cook on May 1st. The tickets are already sold out. They're already planning a bigger event for next year. And they're doing a rain barrel bulk distribution program this year. So if anyone wants to buy a rain barrel, I think it was like $80-$90. From the greatamericanrainbarrel.com, you can select Worcester. Order by May 14th with a pickup date of May 25th. If anyone needs a rain barrel, they're like old. They ship olives from Italy over, and there's a company that just recycles the barrels, so they're pretty cool. Yeah, that's all she has for me. So reach out if you're interested in any of those volunteering. So
Perfect. I volunteered.
you do.
I didn't get a pin or anything, but I did.
Yeah, Barbara and I were just talking about it a minute ago, so I'm sure there's some stuff. If anyone,
I didn't get my cyanobacteria pin.
did you get your hat? Last year we got hats.
Oh, we got hats?
We got our little beanie hats.
Oh, no. I don't-
Not for the summertime though.
Oh, okay.
We should get summer hats next time.
I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea. All right. It's actually a pretty interesting program, and you get to look into microscopes and stuff like that if you're into that kind of thing after you bring your sample in. So it's definitely interesting and very helpful for the lake. I just want to circle back for 1 second on the funding thing. The other thing we're looking to do too is to get a list of who's paying for docks and who hasn't. Because I want to make sure we have that managed from, and I talked with Cindy today, so hopefully we can get that. I know the new computer system is supposed to be a little bit easier to deal with than the old one was, so we're hoping to get that thing in there. Also, completely lost my train of thought, so I'm going to move on to my next thing. Sorry. So, update from the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. What's new?
Hello, Barbara Kickham, Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. So I have a few things. Earth Day cleanup. Everyone was excited about Oak Island. Unfortunately, this is the first time in probably 15 years we don't have enough people to clean up. So if anybody wants to clean up at Oak Island, right now there's no one doing it. I've covered
Well, I was gonna
Gauche
go over.
Park.
I'm going to go over Saturday.
Go over there. I know, but we were hoping we were going to get some high school students, and that seems to have fallen through. So, and the people who usually organize it are out of town because of school vacation week. So right now, we're not covering it. We will be doing
Great time to do a
Gauche
tour,
Park.
Jason. Grab a bag and some gloves, okay?
How many people you need? Usually it would be good to.
You know, it's like like if we had 5, 6, 4. So if we have,
You can get some of the tires that Mike was talking about.
it's a big area. It's a pretty big area, but, I will do Gauche Park, rake the rain garden, kind of fix that up. I do that annually. That one, the neighbors take pretty good care of, except for in the bushes. People throw their cans for fishing and their little plastic things for bait, which is unfortunate. Okay, so the Cyanobacteria Monitoring Collaborative, we talked about it. We do have a lot of volunteers. We're covered for Jordan, Bell Pond, and Lake Quinsig. For our group is covering those 3 water bodies, but we can, and Luke just offered to take over Regatta Point. So I think we're covered, but we can always use backup because they want to try to get twice a month. So if anybody wants to volunteer, Jackie will still take volunteers. And it's fun, and if your kids are into science or whatever, it's super, it's like an hour, and it's really easy, and they feel like they're doing something. They can look under the microscope, and it's fun. So we, the bacteria monitoring. So we're going to continue our bacteria monitoring in the tributaries to the lake. We have a new seasonal intern. She is a graduate student at Clark. So we're very excited because she has lots and lots of experience, and she's very good with ArcPro and Excel and Access, and so we have a lot of little ideas that hopefully she can work on this summer. So we're gonna pay her but I think she's also gonna get credit, I think. So we're excited about that, and that will start the end of May. We'll start sampling end of May. And then as far as the water chestnut removal, Pete was talking about that a little bit. We need to get going, early and often, and as many volunteers. Everyone should be looking in front of their yards. I live in a pretty deep part of the lake, so probably not gonna get a lot of water chestnut, and I'll be able to pull them up, but there's lots of the seed pods, and no matter how they land, because they have, I don't know, four, yeah, so no matter how they land, they'll have a sharp side up that you'll step on. Then they're black, so you might not see them, and they float up in big clumps. Those will not seed into plants, but you do want to pick them up. They're hard as rocks, and they're sharp, big thorns. So you got to be on the aware of that to pick them up off your waterfront. And so Mike Liberty and I are meeting with, Pete was alluding to this, to the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. This is an interesting stretch. Rhode Island DEM is teaming up with NUIPIC, which is New England Interstate Water Pollution Control. They have money from EPA, Southeast New England Program, which is mostly coastal money. They usually are trying to give out grants on the coast, but because we drain to Rhode Island, Blackstone, they have reached up to help anybody who's having problems with water chestnut. So we're gonna meet with them to see what kind of money, and I was talking about a boat, about any kind of equipment to help us remove water chestnut, because this is gonna be many years, if not permanent, that we have to pick these up, because the seed pods live for 10 to 12 years. So, if you drop, they drop off the plant, they just keep coming back. So they said they'd help us anywhere from, T-shirts, or maybe a person, a paid body to help us organize volunteers, because we'd like to be more organized. And yes, we can take them all the way to the Shrewsbury boat ramp, but that sometimes is 2 miles to get there. So if we can pay to rent a dumpster or something on the north end of the lake or something, we're gonna kind of brainstorm that. And they have money this year and next year. So if it's kind of late this year to get anything big, we might be able to do it next year. So that's very exciting. So something to look forward to. And then my public service announcement about fertilizer. It's a spring. Everybody, please try to be judicious. Use as little fertilizer as possible, so we're not increasing the weed growth, and not just on the lake, but if you're in the watershed, please try not to use a lot of fertilizer. And we're trying to get out a mailer for membership dues, and so we're hoping that we can get a list from you guys. We have a list, but it's kind of getting outdated. It's not as comprehensive, so we're hoping that maybe we can work with you guys in the city to get a list of abutters.
Okay,
And that's it.
Thank you very
All right.
much, Barbara.
thanks, Barbara.
Okay.
All right. Okay, review correspondence. I have a letter here from Community Preservation Committee. And,
You have one from Bill Cuspa?
yep. That was, it's, were these in everyone's packet?
A letter from
Actually,
Phil,
large.
Philip Cutsper's in the packet, but that's the only one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, larger boats can be seen dredging mud off the bottom as they pass. All right. So that, they're basically saying that they're asking for help with lake patrols in between that section of the lake there. In between the Sunset Bridge and Route 20 and into Flint Pond. So, and it does actually kind of become a no man's land, but because of the jet ski party we have going on at Oak Island, they're using that to get in and out of the, get out to the big lake. Because it's, there's so many times you're gonna ride around Flint Pond, you get bored. All right, I'm out of here. And then they come over. over to the big lake. So there's that. I haven't, you know, besides the jet skis, I haven't really seen a big increase in boat traffic there, though. Yeah, they have to come by my house to go around there, but I haven't really seen the increase that he's talking about here. As far as the bigger boats, a lot of boats don't know how to navigate through there. I know that in the past, that was also a problem with law enforcement, because sometimes you can, if you go the wrong way, you can hit. So you need to know like where you're going when you go through that thing. But and I'll be happy to show people how to do that. But you know, it's just something that definitely needs to be patrolled more. And that's it. We also have 2 dock applications in process, and I'm going to try to get to the actual sites within, you know, before the end of the weekend. I know I'm going to be at one tomorrow, and there's one at Pineland Ave in Worcester that I have to go over to too. So I know there was a request, and I, you know, said I'd be happy to go out there and do this, so you guys don't have to deal with it. So that's the only other thing I have on there. Okay.
Number
and
15, Mr. Chair.
So, is that set a date for the next meeting? Where are we, Alyssa?
He just wanted me to pass on, there's more information about Shrewsbury Town Cleanup Day, which is Saturday, like
Oh,
Barbara
sorry.
mentioned.
Yep.
And then town takeover for the Woo Sox Day is April 26th. So if anyone has information, go to Woo Sox, and it's the whole town of Shrewsbury is taking over.
Hey, is that the actual game day?
Yep,
That's the
town
game.
takeover.
Oh, I get it. Okay. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out what that was supposed to say.
Yeah,
So the town, yeah, that should be a fun day. Shrewsbury Day at Polar
Shrewsbury
Park.
Day at the Woo Sox, April 26th.
Right,
I don't know what day of the week that is.
perfect. And
And
Friday.
then for the next meeting, we actually have the last Wednesday.
I think it's Wednesday, right?
Which is?
The
Yeah,
31st,
it's Wednesday.
May 31st, which is after the long weekend,
Okay, good. So we're back on the last Wednesday of the month.
in here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Second?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you all for coming.
Hey.